A few words, some of which are informational. In addition to names on the program, we have two additions, Nick Pinn and Sam McDonald, and unfortunately one subtraction. Sam Amadon has a family emergency and is not able to be here tonight. For me, as you can imagine, the first half of tonight's concert was a very moving and wonderful experience, hearing a new generation of musicians playing these songs. And it seems extraordinary that it was 60, almost just about 60 years ago, that I was in a taxi roaming down dirt roads just outside Glasgow looking for a farmhouse. And when I found it, I went inside and there was Robin and Clive and Mike. And I spent the day listening to many of the songs that you've heard tonight. And it was one of the most stunning musical experiences I've ever had. Just hearing these songs that were unlike anything else I'd ever heard and were just so extraordinarily joyful and original, and I thought, you know, this is the beginning of my life, you know, this is it, this is what I dreamed I would one day find, you know, and here it was. I was only 22 or whatever it was, 23. And it took an amazingly short period of time from that moment in the farmhouse. 2 years later, we were doing concerts at they were doing concerts at the Royal Albert Hall, the Fillmore West, Lincoln Center, all over the world. And those concerts were, I think actually by the look of the audience tonight, I think some of you might have been at the Albert Hall. And you will remember what the atmosphere was like. It was just fantastic. So full of joyful celebration, optimism. It was, I don't know, it was just the best of what people remember as the 60s to me. A few years ago, I was on at a literary festival, and I was on a panel discussing the 60s. And there was a historian called Dominic Sandbrook, who's a very good historian, but he writes for the Telegraph. And somehow the subject of the sort of psychedelic revolution, the hippie movement, all these cliches of the 60s came up. And he said, you know, all that is overblown. The media made too big a thing out of it, that it was just a few hundred people in Notting Hill Gate in Chelsea. And I said, excuse me, Mr. Sandbrook, but if you had been in the Liverpool Philharmonic and the Manchester Free Trade Hall and Edinburgh, and in just next door at the Festival Hall when the Incredible String Band did their concerts, and saw thousands of people dressed the most extraordinary way, with bringing gifts and putting them on the front of the stage, and just, you know, the wild spirit of that age, which was so full of optimism and so open to the world, that, you know, that line from the song that Mary sang so beautifully, you know, let us build the ship of the future. We really thought we could, and maybe with a little help from this music, it's still possible. And I want to thank, as many of you probably know, Rough Trade and Beggars Banquet are collaborating to recapture the masters from modern music and put out a box set of all this great music. And I want to thank them a lot, and Gordon Wallace and Paul Sproggan for being really just, watch out for that, and let's go on with the second half and enjoy these great songs that really, to me, still live so beautifully in my memory and tonight in our